or not? Because I'm Canadian at the end of the day. Or were you like strictly New Zealand? You got this, and that's it.
Yeah, no. When you're there, when you're with the team for 24 hours a day, like that's your team.
Yeah.
Like, and as an athlete, I'm competitive. Doesn't matter whatever team I'm on, I want to win.
Fans are definitely waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, so hopefully, I would love to see him being a Canuck for many years to come.
Let's be honest, we're cooked without him.
Yeah,
we're cooked without him.
We need him. Like,
we were cooked with him last year.
We were cooked with him.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another BTR podcast. We're here joined by a very special guest once again. So without a further ado, let me introduce him. He's a soccer player and a soccer coach from Delta, BC. He's also a physio where he works at Sungod Physio in Delta. He was also the physio for the New Zealand women's soccer team. And he's probably more known as now Amar Mander's brother than he is probably his own name. But it's Amar Mander joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Is that true though? Are you more known as Amar Mander's older brother now, or are you still like Amar?
Well, I'd hope to think that I am Amar. I'm Jasmine's older brother, but no, I'm proud of everything she's done and the name that she's sort of showcased in our family. So she's done a great job. So I'm proud to be her big brother. Yeah,
we'll get into her in a second, but again, this is more focused on you. But you know, Amar brought the treats for us, ice caps.
I was trying to get away from these. Right next to my work, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna take this when I go home.
I knew you guys are big ice cap fans, so I had to bring it over.
No, we appreciate it for sure. Good wake up from the Man United
also,
game.
Another one is Sungod shirt, Sungod Physio. Amar hooking us up already.
Well, you're one of my patients.
I am one of your patients, but
yeah. One thing with Amar though, before we get into the topics was, I think after the Derek podcast, and I know you're good friends with Derek, he sent me a WhatsApp message, and this is like, we never really talked. I know you barely met Joven, but we know you through Derek and Jeevan and his family. And the message you shared to us was like, keep it up, man. This was great. Even though it was like a 2-hour podcast, you watched through all of it, and it meant a lot, right? Because like, yes, don't get me wrong, we have all the support in the world from our family and our friends, but someone we mutually know, with yourself, it was good. It was like definitely like motivation and everything. So we thank you for that. We appreciate that as well.
No, absolutely. No, it's from the heart. Like I said, I grew up with Derek, and what you guys are doing, it's not only great for our community, great for the Punjabi community. You guys are talking about sports. So it's a great initiative. You guys are going outside of your guys' comfort zone, which was great to see. And I'm just proud to be here and look forward to whatever we're going to talk about.
All right. So before we get into your journey, let's, as always, we're going to do some quick fire questions. So Joven.
All right, first up, favorite sport or sports outside of soccer?
Hockey.
Do you play?
I played road hockey growing up. Fun fact, I was probably a better road hockey player, a lot of people don't know this, than I was a soccer player.
All right, favorite team, Canucks?
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite team growing up, any sports, just name all your sports, whatever it is.
Soccer, Manchester United. Hockey.
Yeah, good job.
Hockey, obviously, the Canucks. Those are two main sports I follow. In terms of basketball, Steph Curry fan. Those are the main two sports I watch are soccer and hockey religiously, and I play a lot of video games. So on the PlayStation, I have every single big FIFA player, and NHL. So those are the only two games I play. Since growing up, I have every game, NHL and FIFA, from 1998.
How cracked is your Ultimate Team game?
I don't do Ultimate Team because now I am a lot older. I don't have enough time. I know that Ultimate Team is very addicting.
Yeah.
So I stay away from Ultimate Team.
And it's like a scam.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. You got to spend a lot of money and time. But I am actually very, very good at FIFA.
Were you isn't it not the same game for you every year type of thing? It's just different rosters.
It is. It's a little bit different every year. I was actually ranked number 10 in all of Canada.
Oh,
in FIFA growing up.
Esports was a thing for you.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm a very, very good FIFA player.
So I would lose to you if I play you right now.
I think so.
He's good. I'll say that he's way better than me.
Yeah.
Out of like the family cousins, I would say he's like third.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe, maybe set up a challenge after this.
No, absolutely.
with you
Absolutely.
or Jeevan or whoever.
The
Yeah.
one we have, I stopped playing at FIFA 21,
Yeah.
right? I was like, okay, I'm spending too much time on this, and I'm like, I need to start, touching grass.
Yeah.
basically.
Wait, did you upgrade to PS5 yet? Or?
I have PS5.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
we're still on the PS4
Do you have a new
stage.
EAFC then?
I have it, so I got it last week, but I haven't opened it. So that's the
Okay.
thing with if I had Ultimate Team, I'd be playing it too much, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
have focus on my work, my playing, coaching.
Yeah.
So it would take a lot of time away from that. But
Yeah.
no, big FIFA player, and NHL.
So Yuri cracked the next one, favorite team or other sports. So we'll go favorite player in soccer, and in other sports, Yuri said Curry. So if there's any other ones.
Cristiano Ronaldo, favorite player of favorite athlete of all time.
All right. Favorite food, Punjabi, English, any
Okay.
cuisine.
Yeah, no, great question. I believe it or not, I am a foodie. I might not look like it, but I enjoy my food. I would say my favorite food, which I can eat any day, anytime, anywhere, is pizza. I love pizza. Punjabi food. I know you guys talked about this last time. Shahi paneer. I am a big Shahi paneer fan. But it would be garlic naan with butter chicken. Like that is my go-to at any reception. Punjabi food. But if it was my last meal ever, it would be pizza.
Yeah, that's the usual.
Yeah,
This is
the classic.
Usual. Yeah, the classics. Hobby outside of sports.
Hobby outside of sports. It's a great question. Sports is my life. I don't know if it's a hobby, but I recently got a new dog. I've never had a pet in my life ever. So my parents were never for pets, but I recently, like I said, got a dog, and it just changed my life. So any time I have now, I want to just spend it with my dog. So I think I don't know if it's a hobby, but I do enjoy spending a lot of time with my dog, and obviously my family as well.
Yeah. Favorite movie or movie series? You could give English and Punjabi if you want.
Okay, I'm not a very big Punjabi movie fan, but favorite movie series of all time is Home Alone.
Okay.
Home Alone. Big Home Alone guy. All three. The first three.
First three only.
First
right?
three only?
First
Yeah.
three only.
Yeah, big Home Alone.
4 was trash.
Yeah.
I haven't even bothered
There's
watching
a
5.
5, but
My-
I don't understand.
Yeah, my
Like, I don't
favorite's
even know what
3. All 3.
Yeah,
As good as one
2,
is,
and 3. Yeah, all 3.
I like all 3. Don't get me wrong. If I were to pick one, I don't know why. I just enjoyed 3 the most.
Yeah.
2 was like the same as 1 for me, except in New York. That's all it was. But 3 for me, I don't know why. I just enjoyed that one the most.
You know what the best part of Home Alone is? That me and my grandma, my BB, we were watching it, and she's laughing at all the pranks as well.
Yeah.
As much as I am when I was younger.
And you can watch it every year. So
Yeah.
every year it's Christmas when Home Alone's on.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's Christmas time, the holidays. Favorite movie of all time.
Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show. I have a few. So my favorite series would be Suits and Prison Break. So it's very difficult for me to decide which two. So those are my favorite series. And then reality show right now and every year, I love watching Amazing Race.
Okay.
I've always wanted
Yeah.
to do the Amazing Race.
Canada.
Not Canada. I
No,
want to do the
no.
American one.
He's
The only
American.
thing is right now they don't allow Canadians to participate in the American one anymore.
So just get
So
Canada.
me and my wife, we wanna one day compete in the Amazing Race.
Yeah, we watch Amazing Race Canada.
Yeah, we watched
Yeah.
Canada.
Like ever since it started.
I think we've only watched 1 season of The Amazing Grace, the regular one.
Yeah.
But I guess time-wise, we didn't want to get too much into it either. It was a great show. But yeah, I think we've watched all of Amazing Race Canada. All
Yeah.
seasons 1 to it.
It's funny because we're like, oh, roadblock? Or you're going to do this one.
Yeah.
Then if this next one, then I'm
It's not
probably
like
doing it.
everything's in hindsight, by
Yeah.
the way. But
But like, if it's like some sort of physical challenge, you're like, okay, you're going to do this. If it's some dancing one, like, I'm going to do this
Yeah,
or something like
that's
that.
what we're always talking
The-
about that too. Or I would be stressed in this situation. You wouldn't
Yeah.
be stressed in this
Yeah.
situation. And no, I definitely want to do that.
the funny thing with that was that in Amazing Race Canada last year, especially, the finale was in here. It was in it was shot in BC
Vancouver,
Place,
yeah.
Vancouver,
Yeah.
Richmond Night
Yeah.
Market.
Yeah.
And one of the teams had a taxi driver.
Yeah.
It was a Punjabi guy. I
Yes,
think it was
yes, yes.
Vancouver Taxi. And my dad, we showed my dad, and I was like, I know that guy.
Yeah.
So it's like crazy. Obviously, your dad being a taxi driver too, I'm sure it's like a similar vibe.
100%.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think like when my dad watched the episode, instantly gave him a phone call. Like,
Yeah.
yo, you're on the show or something.
Yeah.
So that was probably a funny part. Favorite Punjabi and English singer or rapper?
My favorite Punjabi singer, my dad. He does it as a hobby,
Yeah.
but I'm his biggest fan and biggest, I guess, advocate as well. So he's be my favorite singer. My favorite rapper, I'd say Lil Wayne or Meek Mills. Those are my two on the English side, but Punjabi side, my dad.
Have you ever like tell him like, yo, record and drop a song?
Oh, my dad actually
Yeah.
has some songs. He just
Okay.
recently put out a new song. It's actually on Apple Music and Spotify.
Promote it. Hey, just face it.
Got to the Ambotala. That's his new song. Again, he just does it as a hobby. And no, it's actually a really good song. It's a song that you can rock at parties or before you want to get the party going. So got to the Ambotala, Amar Mander.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So check that out.
We'll check that out too for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's basically it. Quick fire done.
Perfect.
I'll
I think
see.
I'm going to say one thing. That's how we do quick fire. It's quick, 1, 2.
I wonder who the shot is at.
Some people spend like 10 minutes. But
All right, so let's just get right into it. Soccer, obviously, that's what you said. You alluded to. That's the sport you played. That's the sport you coach. You're involved in it. So when did you start playing? How did you get into it? And did you play other sports competitively growing up?
Yeah. So soccer, my dad was a soccer player in India. He played at the university level. And then when I came here in North Delta, he put me in when I was about 6 years old. And I played for North Delta Soccer. And then I was with North Delta Soccer throughout my youth soccer career. And from there, I was with the Whitecaps a little bit, so in the Y League at that time. Then when I got a little bit older, I realized that I wasn't good enough to be a professional player. So I was really good at school, so I took the school route. I had scholarships to a few smaller schools, but I focused on my education. So I got into SFU. So, but I still wanted to continue playing soccer. So instead of going the college route, playing for a smaller school, I just played men's soccer. So from U18, went straight into men's soccer while still getting my education at SFU. And I've been playing men's soccer ever since. But yeah, so it started at North Delta, and I still play with a few of my teammates since I was 6 years old.
wow.
Yeah.
So what schools were they, like in Canada, US?
Yeah,
or-
so I started at SFU, so my postgraduate. Well, I went to Siakam, so Heath. I'll start even before that.
Yeah.
So everything North Delta. So Heath Elementary. From Heath Elementary went to Siakam. Siakam went to SFU. So I did about a 4.5 year bachelor program at SFU. After that, I went to Oxford. So I did my master's in Oxford in the UK. For Physio, so Master of Science in Physiotherapy, and but I'm still playing men's soccer right now.
What were the small schools that was it in Canada or was it in the US or
Like you have scholarships.
the scholarship?
It was Kwantlen. I had a few in the States, but there weren't any Div 1 schools.
Yeah.
Douglas at that time, but it wasn't SFU or UBC, which is where my education was actually accepted, so I got accepted into SFU. But my focus at that point, I knew I wasn't going to be a professional soccer player, and but I knew I wanted to play still soccer.
Yeah.
And so I took the education route, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah. What was it like going to like England and studying abroad? How does that feel?
It was quite challenging, to be honest, but I think it's probably the best thing that's happened to me. My wife would agree as well. I thought I was a man when going to England, but I was not. So you learn things outside of school that you can't teach. So for example, you have to cook for yourself. You have to look after yourself financially. You don't have mom and dad there. You have to buy groceries. You have to buy things that you never thought you would have to buy: toilet paper, toothpaste. As opposed to here, mom and dad used to always buy those things. Well, mostly mom. You'd have to make sure you clean, so vacuum, mop, do your dishes, dusting, but at the same time still focus on school, because at the end of the day, that's why you have to remind yourself that you're not there to party and get distracted. There's a lot of distractions, especially when you're living alone. And it's difficult. I was in a place where I didn't know anyone. My cousins were in Leicester, which is about 2 hours away from Oxford, but you go into a city where you don't know anyone at all. So I left there. Now obviously I'm married. I can cook, I can clean, I can do the dishes, I can go grocery shopping. I learned a lot about finances. So basically my wife is very happy with that.
So if you weren't a man going there, you definitely became one afterwards.
100%. No, I learned lots about myself too. You learn how to expose yourself into a new environment, and no, it's definitely a learning experience even outside of getting my education.
What would you say your signature meal you cook?
Signature meal, I love a chicken wrap. That's even right now, a classic, quick, little bit of chicken breast, put it in a wrap. That was my signature meal. In the first year, it was like probably every student is pasta.
Yeah.
But I found that I was starting to gain a little bit of weight, which I didn't want. So I transitioned to having less carbs and better meals. So chicken breast, a lot of chicken and rice. But my favorite is a chicken wrap, classic chicken wrap.
How many stadiums did you travel to?
Oh, lots.
Because I know that you were on your own,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you're in England.
Oh, 100%.
You're not in England often. So
Yeah.
Obviously, Manchester United fan. I'm sure you went to Old Trafford a few times,
Yes.
caught some games. But
Yeah.
like, what other stadiums did you go to?
So I went to Old Trafford to watch a Chad. They were in the Champions League at that time. So I had Rooney, Ibra, big names. They were on the team. I went to watch Liverpool against Leicester at the Leicester Stadium, the King Power Stadium, and then I watched Wembley. I watched Brazil. So Neymar was in town. So I watched Brazil against England. I was a student physio for Oxford United, which was in the championship, and they're still in the championship. First place right now, by the way. So I got to see a lot of games in the Oxford Stadium, and I actually met Harry Redknapp, who was at the time the manager of Birmingham. So they came, played against Oxford United in a preseason friendly. So I watched that game. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I think those are the main stadiums. But it was awesome being a big soccer fan and having the chance to watch a lot of Premier League games, and obviously seeing my childhood team, Man United. And at that time, Mourinho was coach, so they had a very good year.
Yeah.
And that was the year that they won the Europa League as well.
Yeah.
So it was good.
So what's the nicest stadium then? Obviously, it'd be really biased to say Old Trafford, but
I-
the stories of Old Trafford are kind of bad now.
Yeah.
With which we'll get into, like Man United talk later.
Yeah.
But like, is it?
It's called a theater of dreams for a reason. When you go into that field, it's different. Like obviously here, even I've been to a lot of stadiums in Canada and with the New Zealand national team. But when you step into the stadium at Old Trafford, the smell, the atmosphere, it's unmatched. Like it's something different, and that's why it's called the Theater of Dreams. Like even Wembley, with all the history Wembley has, but Old Trafford was just different.
How was the environment? Like you got to probably experienced BC plays,
Yeah.
but then you experienced like hardcore European fans, English fans as well, like
it's-
swearing at each other in the
It
stands.
is different. It's nonstop chants.
Yeah.
No one sits down.
Yeah, but one thing I was very surprised is it was a Europa night when I went, or Champions League night and European night. But what I was surprised is here at BC Place, you can take your alcohol into your seats. There, you're not allowed to take your alcohol or anything into your seats. You only can drink non-alcoholic beverages. If you want to have an alcoholic beverage, it has to be outside your seats. So they have like designated areas or where you get the alcohol. So that's just to calm down the hooligans and
Yeah.
everyone. But yeah, the fans there are crazy, and I remember some chants. So like, yeah, I know some United chants. Yeah, it's this crazy atmosphere. You cannot compare anything, not even to our hockey here. It's totally different there.
Yeah, the one thing I tell people that said they're going to Europe and they're not soccer fans at all, like we haven't had the experience yet. Like if first of all, if we ever go to England, 100%, Old Trafford we're going, whether it be in shambles or not. But or even try to go to other stadiums like around not just England but Europe. But I do tell them, I'm like, hey, just because I know you're not a soccer person or you might be a very, very casual, you just probably watch the World Cup or whatever. From what I've heard from Jeevan guys, Derek and everyone, make sure you go to a stadium because you'll know what it's like, even though you don't watch it. It's just like you want to be part of it, right?
It's an experience.
Yeah, it's an experience for sure. I think like your point about the alcohol. Recently in NFL, I think you've probably seen it on social media. I think you may have like Sports Center posts or whatever. Like there's a lot of like fights happening in the stands, like where I think recently it was, I don't know who was playing. It might have been Dolphins Bills or whoever it was. Just like fans are fist fighting each other in the stands. Like it's gone up, and obviously alcohol is a big reason. So especially in England with how crazy it is, it's probably the best way to go with it.
Bro, if there was alcohol allowed in the stands, bro, I'm kid you not, Arsenal and Man United fans are gonna have a war.
Yeah.
But and we'll move on. It's like, last thing I want to say, similar question to Derek, have you experienced anything like racist when you were there? Like how he shared like what he was getting called names when he was obviously much younger when he went to Middlesbrough, but like you were obviously there for school. Like, did you have anything like that?
No, I had a very positive experience. It was very enjoyable. Everyone treated me with respect, and again, if you treat others with respect there, you'd hope to get the same respect back, and that's exactly what I got. So I loved every experience I had in England, and I definitely want to go back.
Did you travel anywhere else in Europe? Visited stadiums there?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough that during my summer break, I went to a bunch of countries. I got to go to Croatia, the Netherlands, Amsterdam, Madrid, Barcelona, Magaluf, Paris, Budapest, Prague. So the thing is, when you're in Europe, everything is so cheap to travel. So you're looking at some days you can get a $20 flight to go from one place to another, and it's about a 1 to 2 hour flight maximum. So no, I was lucky enough to do my fair share of traveling. But I do miss it.
Is it your goal to, like, you visited Camp Nou, I'm assuming, and the Bernabeu?
Yes, I visited both. Yeah.
Is it like your goal to like whatever stadium you go? It doesn't matter if it's Portugal, doesn't matter if it's Croatia. Like, I want to visit at least maybe the team's biggest stadium or the local team's
100%.
stadium.
As a soccer fan, I always
like that's like the goal.
Even when you're traveling, right? As a soccer fan, you always want to see.
It's for your your wife. If I don't know if you went with her, but like in general, maybe in the future, it's like, all right, listen, we might be here for a week.
Yeah.
One day, I want stadium tour and a game. 6 days, you could probably go shopping. I'll do whatever you say. Just one day, I want the soccer day.
Yeah, I've been lucky. She's a soccer fan too.
Oh, okay.
So we share a lot of similar interests. So she enjoys going to the stadiums and watching sports. So no, I've been very blessed and lucky on that part. So I never have to argue about sports things with her. But no, whenever I'm on any trip, I need to go to either a sporting event, watch a sporting event, or see the stadium of that country or city that I'm in.
Yeah, like for sure. Like if you go to the States, I don't care what season it is. Like we might be Colts fans for football, but if we happen to be in, I don't know, Chicago, we want to try to see 100%. A Bulls game. Even though I'm a Laker fan, try to see a Bulls game.
Yeah,
but at the same like experience that as well. Though.
Yeah.
So yeah, like for a sportsman, that's like a dream. You need that. Like, one part of your trip must be that. Yeah. Summertime 100%. Baseball stadium. I don't care if I'm not a baseball fan. Let's just go. Even though
that's a great example. I just recently went to LA, and same thing. One night we had to go watch a Dodgers game. I'm not a big baseball guy, but that was the only sporting event that was happening during the weekend that we were there, and we ended up watching a Dodgers game.
But yeah. All right, let's go back to your playing days here. Outside of your men's league, which you play in the Prem level, which is still very competitive. Yeah. But you also play Nations Cup, which happens, like we mentioned it at the Derek podcast as well, that it's like local international tournament, it's usually you represent your heritage. So for you, for example, it's probably Canada and India. And we haven't been this year because we had something going on that weekend, but last year we went. And we try to go as much as we can because the talent is unreal, right? It's still like it's a glorified premier tournament. Yeah, it might be labeled as a beer league. But first off, like the talent, how are you locally, especially? Are you like, damn, we have a lot of talent, whether it be Canadians, whether it be Indians, whether it be Africans, Caribbeans, etc. So that experience of playing against these different nations.
No, I think the talent in BC is amazing. I think everyone knows that. And it's just a great tournament to show not only soccer fans of what the talent is in BC, but fans around the whole province, Lower Mainland. So it's a great tournament to be a part of. It's been really fun to be a part of. I was lucky enough to be actually the coach of the Youth Nations team as well for India, which is great to see that now they're starting at a younger age, which I wish they had it when I was younger. Because the talent at a younger age, because sometimes when you're about 17, 18, you don't get the opportunity to play in the men's open division because you're so young. So now that the tournament is starting at a youth level, I think it's great exposure. So kudos to those guys running the tournament for so long. It's a great tournament, and it's always great to be part of, whether coaching, playing, watching.
It's always packed, right? Like there's genuine good soccer there that like being played. Whether it be India versus Fiji is one of the big rivalries, right?
Yeah. No, definitely. It's always packed, which makes, as a player, as a coach, as a spectator, it's just a great atmosphere. It's a great run tournament. And every year I know all the soccer fans look forward to it.
As a player, it's like, okay, you know what? Like you said, you may never have played professional, but that feels like a professional setting, right? This is like, you hear like, let's go India and stuff like that, right? It's crazy. But the one issue I have with it, and I think we've talked about it with Derek as well, is the Sunday. Where it's like 3 games in one day.
No, that's definitely tough. As a physio myself, you look at that and it's a big toll on the body. And leading up to it, a lot of players, because it's in the summer, a lot of players have not put that stress on their body like that. So you are prone to more injuries. So during that week, leading up to that week, and even after that week, even me at the clinic, we see a lot of injuries. So I think on a physio and medical point of view, they definitely need to adjust that. I know it's great for the fans, but it's a big toll on the body. And recently, again, because of what's happened during COVID when no one was playing for such a long period, we've had more injuries, and I've seen more injuries recently after COVID than ever before. So not only athletes, but just average Joes playing whatever sport, whether it be hockey, basketball, volleyball. It's because we're putting more stress on the body because those 2-3 years, because of COVID, we weren't able to play, or 2 years, whatever it was. The body has been used to not putting so much stress on their tendons, their muscles, their ligaments, that all of a sudden they go back to how they were before. And we've seen a lot of injuries. So even after that weekend, like I said, I do see a lot more injuries. And as a player, it is tough to play that many games in one day. Forget playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but playing up to 3 games on a Sunday, back to back to back.
5 in total over the weekend.
It's very tough.
Yeah, because I played. So when I first met you properly was like the 7v7 league that we played in the summer.
Yeah,
and 6 games, even though it was like 30-minute games, I told the organizer too, I'm like, bro, 6 games, like I was done, he was done, and he plays still, right? Like I was my first like time playing competitive after like 5 years. Like the rest of our family that played in that tournament with us was just like, we were done, like the legs were gassed, like it's a lot, like especially after playing for a while.
Like we were all done after the second game.
Yeah, it was like hot second game, everybody's like injured, so it was like we're short players. But moving on slightly, still sticking with Nations Cup, why was it important for you to represent India instead of Canada, for example?
Well, the first thing is I got asked to play for India, but obviously my mom and dad are from India, and ever since I was young, watching Team India play, it's all Punjabi, local Punjabi talent, and with the amount of support you see, most of it is a Punjabi Team India crowd. So it's always an honor to represent India, again, whether it be coaching or playing.
So your reaction, you mentioned the talent, it's great.
Yeah.
We've mentioned it before. Obviously, it's much better now. Like we've seen like younger guys like Jeevan, even little guys and girls my age. So for example, your sister Jasmine, Jasmine Danda, Simran Dhaliwal, like these girls are killing it as well. But like, why do you think, especially around your age, like the talent may get wasted? Is it just because lack of exposure to potentially do what Derek did? Like, because Derek is one of the few, at least that we know, unless you know more, that made it that far at some point, like Canada level. Do you think? Why do you think there's like maybe a waste of talent? Is it just like they just didn't care? They didn't have the exposure, for example. Maybe now the exposure is much better.
I don't think it's wasted talent, but I think back in the day, what would happen was if you're like, this is what happened to me as well. I knew that I wasn't good enough to make it professional, but at that time there was no gap from U18 to the first team. So at under 18, if you're not good enough to make it professionally, the only other option you have is, okay, are you going to make the first team of the Whitecaps? If you don't, then either university or whatever. But on a professional standpoint, the gap was so large that there's nothing in between. So that was during my age. Even the girls, they had no girls professional team. Even right now, there's no girls professional team. I know they're starting that very soon, but there's no, the gap it was so large during that age group, as opposed to now there's Whitecaps 2, there's
MLS Next Pro,
MLS Next, there's U14, U16, U18 Whitecaps. So they already are exposed to in a professional environment, for the boys at least, and now the girls have the Rex program. But after the Rex program, after they're 18, the girls have a gap as well. So that's where it's a little bit difficult to go the professional route, especially for girls right now. So that's why we're seeing, though, a lot of girls go into the university route, and if they want to make it professional, they would have to go abroad or go to the States. But it's nice to see now that we have the CPL, we have the Whitecaps 2, like you said. Now we have League One, which is like semi-professional.
Yeah.
But if you look at the structure of how the European countries are, like in England, every team, every little city has a professional team. And that team has the opportunity to play against Manchester United. And how? It's through the FA Cup. So now we have a similar system where League One can play against the Whitecaps. So League One will play in that tournament, the Canadian Championship. They'll play against teams in the CPL. And then if they are successful, they'll play the Whitecaps. If they are successful after that, they can go into the CONCACAF Champions League. Yeah. If they're successful in that, they can play against European leagues, right? Yeah. So the tiering now is much better as it was to when I guess I was younger. But that being said, when I was younger, our talent was very, very high as well. So I'll never forget this. When I was 13, we had a Punjabi team. So we made our Punjabi 11. We played against the provincial team at the time, same age group, and we beat the provincial team 7-2. And that's talking about the whole of the province. Yeah. But again, when you get to 18 at that time, there wasn't too many options. But it's good to see now that the gap is becoming smaller, and we're going in the right direction in Canada. Yeah. And we're seeing that through the success of both the women's and men's national team programs.
Yeah, because the minute Whitecaps 2 wasn't rebrand, I think it got brought up. This is like 2015, 16, I think. Sahil Sandhu was like the guy who was in there, right? Mm-hmm. Derek, I know, had an option to play as well. But yeah, you see more. Jeevan is like the most current example. Yeah. Like from the girls, I think I was talking to Peter Galindo about this too. Diana Matheson, I think she's bringing, like I think you mentioned it, alluded to the Power 8. So she's trying to, with her, I think I don't know who else is involved, to start like 8 Canadian teams to start a league there. So that way, you know, girls like Julia Grosso, Jordan Heidema, they don't have to go abroad. Mm-hmm. I know Julia Grosso went to college. Jessie Fleming, these girls went to college and got scouted from there, which now obviously they're doing big things for Canada and their European countries. But now you don't have to have the option where, like, for example, Jordan Heidemann doesn't have to go from Whitecap straight to PSG like she did, but now she might have, you know what, she's like, I might want to stay with the Whitecaps and maybe get more playing time here before she commits to the NWSL, for example.
No, absolutely. No, it's our girls soccer in the last little bit, especially in the grassroots level, the numbers are lowering. So I think by exposing these girls to a professional environment, having local professional teams, especially in Canada, is hopefully going to help raise those numbers again. And we have good talent here, and we have a very good national team in the program. So I think it's very good for girls locally at the grassroots level, to the university level, to even having players from other countries come out to play here. Because we're a very strong country in soccer in the women's side.
You know what's the best part? Like, if they figure that out and get it right, boys and girls, you get more of those underdog stories, you know, like the people that were just grinding, you know, practicing every day, because there's not many of that, right? Like Jessie Fleming and Julia Grosso, these girls were like good. Yeah. But like, you know how like someone, like those late bloomers type of thing, right? There's not many stories in Canada that they are, you know, in USA basketball, for example, right? Jimmy Butler is one of them. Yeah. I think Duncan Robinson was a D3 guy who made it to NBA. Like, there's none of those stories in Canada.
Yeah. The options are there now, right? Like, when I meant wasted talent, I mean, like that's why it's probably wasted, because there weren't options, like you said. And now, obviously, thankfully, we're trying to have that. But on the flip side, let's with the Punjabi culture, sticking with that, a lot of it, I believe, is also because when you're younger, the parents, and not to their fault of their own. Like, for example, your parents were from India, our parents are from India, and it was like, but they were, from what they were told as kids or growing up, was like, the best life is come to Canada, come to America, UK, Australia, wherever, but you have to do the 4 or 5 years of school. Now, your side, for you enjoyed it, so that's why you did the physio route and all that. But like for us, we're doing it. Like, we still believe that we need to get a degree, but it may not, for others, it might be like you're forcing them to do something they shouldn't do, but yet they could be great soccer players or great hockey players. How much do you think that's also evolving, that the parents are actually evolving from that mindset? Like, for example, I shared an example, like when we did our mom first was like, school, you got to do your CPA, you got to do this, business. But then when we told her, like, hey mom, we want to do this, we can make a career out of it, there's obviously clear backup. Like guys like Randeep Janda, Harman Dayal, these guys are Punjabi, they're in the media route, and they did it, you know, whether it be through school or through just experience, that like, then she's like, okay, I'm definitely backing you guys up. So how much do you think that's being evolved now, and especially the South Asian community mindset, that like they're giving their kids options?
No, 100%. I've always, and thankfully from my mom and dad, have put me in sports from a very young age. I think now parents are starting to understand that it's, before it was, let's try to become a professional player. But I think now it's becoming more and more realistic that there are other options. Like you said, you can go in broadcasting, you can go into coaching. But I think the biggest thing, especially in our community, is try to get involved in sport so you stay away from other things. So the gang violence, the drugs, the alcohol, it keeps you busy, keeps you on a good route. I think if we can educate and let our kids know that it's not only to become a professional player, it's important to learn other life skills, making friendships, problem solving, keeping your mind active, working on your hand-eye coordination. And if you happen to be very good at the sport, then it could be a realistic goal to go into a professional route. But I think nowadays parents are putting their kids not only to become professional players, but to stay away from trouble, keep their kid healthy, keep their kid active, which is great to see. And that's what I've been doing right now. So before, I used to be a coach at the U18 level. And my main reason, and this is why I got into coaching, was to try to keep kids away from the drug, the alcohol, the violence, especially in the Surrey community. I'm Delta boy, but I coach in Surrey because of what was happening in the Surrey news and what was going on in Surrey. But now I've transitioned to coaching kids on the other side of things. So from U4 to U7. So I'm trying to keep kids involved in the sport, because what we were finding is kids, when they become 7, 8, or when they were younger than 18, we started seeing numbers dropping. So I wanted to make sure that we keep kids involved in sport, and again, they would learn life skills, learn how to problem solve, like I said, learn how to share, learn how to communicate in verbal and non-verbal ways. So I think parents are becoming more and more understanding and educated on the options that sports gives, other than a professional environment.
Yeah, because like also being a coach, for example, you want to be that role model. Like it doesn't, like, let's just say you were coaching him or you're coaching myself when we were younger, or whatever the case may be, that like, and the parent was like, no, he's only here just for the sake of soccer, but you believe genuinely that like, hey, he could be a professional player. You also want to tell the parents like, hey, it's not just about education. Like, education is important. Like, it doesn't have to be done through 4 years university and get a job. That's how you have to be successful. You could be successful as a professional athlete, but if not a professional athlete, like you mentioned, coaches, physios, broadcasting, etc. Right? So like, how much do you relish on being that role model towards parents and kids to communicate that like there's options?
I try my best. This is what my dad taught me. Your education will always be with you.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, if you can get hurt, like unfortunately you can get hurt at any time, right?
Yeah.
So if that happens, you need to have a backup plan, and your education will always be there with you. So that's what my parents taught me. That's what they sort of instilled in me. So even like for me, even my sister, is we made sure that yes, we played soccer, but at the same time we still focus on school. So school was always first for us. For my sister, school was always first. So believe it or not, she does coach with the national team, but she still has masters in physiotherapy as well. But she doesn't practice as a physio, but she still has that with her, and she'll have that with her for the rest of her life. But right now she's in the coaching route in with Canada Soccer. She has that with her, but whenever that stops, because you never know when that's going to stop, she still has that as a not a backup plan, but you still have that with you. And that's what I try to teach kids is, it doesn't matter how good you are at soccer, one day the soccer career is so short. When you get to 30, 35, especially if you're here locally, it's very difficult for you to make a living. Even with the Whitecaps, you can look at their salaries. Not that many are making more than $1 million a year. And nowadays, with how everything is so expensive, $1 million is not too much, right? Yeah. Believe it or not. So when you're 30, 35, you still have a lot of time to live. And if you don't have a backup plan or you don't have education, then you don't know what you're going to do. And you guys are big sports guys. You guys see it even in professional sport. NBA, NFL, those are just examples. You're seeing more and more athletes become broke because after they don't know what they're going to do with their money, because they don't have a backup plan, they don't have an education, they've been just professional athletes their whole life, and then now they don't know what to do. Yeah,
because they actually now, especially for the last few years, you hear stories about the NBA, like currently, like guys like Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, the younger guys. NFL side, you talk, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence's, they share that like, and in the NHL, like Connor Bedard, for example, like before the draft, they have like all the rookies or potential draftees come in a room and they bring in financial planners and say like, this is what you guys had to do, because you don't want a Delonte West situation, which is the biggest story. Like you said, guys getting broke. It's like, hey, like, listen, like you said, one hit away, you still want the education as a backup, or guess what, you can set up a business elsewhere if you don't want the education side, like go into physio or accounting or whatever, but maybe start a business or go into broadcasting and try to connect through broadcasting, etc., coaching. So it's like they now are educating that, because you hear older athletes like I mentioned Delonte West, like guys like Shaq, for example. He went not broke, but when his card, I think the famous story was his card maxed out at Walmart, and then he realized, oh, I can't do this, right? And now he has a PhD. Yeah. So it's like now they have that education. The kids are getting education of how not to be broke, to your point as well.
And also, absolutely, a lot of them going back to school to finish their degrees.
Yeah. Yes.
Curry finished his degree, during his NBA career.
DeAndre
Hopkins is in the Tennessee Titans facility taking online classes to finish his degree as well.
No, that's the thing with education. It's going to stay with you forever. No, that's what I try to teach these kids is your education is gonna be with you for the rest of your life. Soccer, sports, at one point you're not going to be able to unfortunately play. Your body won't be able to play. You might get injured. You might not be good enough. But at the end of the day, your education will always be there with you. So that's what I try to teach these kids at a young age, is focus on school first. I'm a coach that I make sure that if a kid hasn't done his homework, especially when I was coaching the U18, U16, 17, 18, I wanted to make sure the kids did their homework first. If they didn't do their homework, or they didn't had an exam the next day or a test or an essay and they needed to take a day off from training, I was a coach that would always let them do that. But with balance. So you need to learn school life balance as well. It's not that, every time I have a test the next day, I have to skip practice. You have to learn how to balance that, because at the end of the day, it's only an hour and a half of training. If you're not prepared for your exam the next day and you can't take an hour and a half of your training out of your time, then are you really ready for the exam?
Exactly.
So, but at the same time, if a kid needs a day off from soccer because of school, I always would let them.
Yeah, because like at the flip side, like as much as the parents are evolving, like, hey, professional athlete is a route, but you want to keep that balance, right? Like you also don't want to stop a kid from making whatever league, like RHD Baines, for example, is NHL worthy, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to stop him from being like, oh no, you have to do school either. So it's like both. Like,
yes.
Give him the opportunity, but also educate. Like, hey, you need a backup plan, or you need this as well.
Yeah.
Too. So
no,
it's both things for
absolutely.
sure. Sticking with the coaching, because you already explained why you're a coach, and obviously you love soccer and you want to be that type of role model. How important as a coach, this is a question I asked Jeevan as a player side of things, I asked Derek on both perspectives. Now, since you're more of a coach, how important is it for you to learn, and adapt to learn from your players, for example, right? Like you might have a different mindset. Like it's not like me or the highway as well in terms of soccer. So both soccer side of things, how important is it to learn from the players and adapt to new things? And how important is it to learn life lessons from those kids and apply it to yourself, and maybe like, oh, I didn't think of it this way. Yeah. Right. Like maybe a kid is struggling through something and it opened your eyes. Yeah. If you have any stories.
No, absolutely. So, and it's been a big adaptation for me to adapt from, like I said, U18, which is your highest level of youth soccer. And then the next year I'm coaching the future stars, which are 2 and 3 year olds, which some come in with pacifiers. So like they can't communicate. So I went from communicating to under 18, 17 grown men to kids that some don't understand English or Punjabi. So you have to learn how to show with by example. You have to visually show them non-verbal cues. You have to be a little bit more enthusiastic, but you have to adapt to each situation. A prime example is at the under 18, or when you're coaching older kids, you know that some kids are going to adapt by giving them positive feedback. Some kid might not react very well for being negative or trying to pump them up, as opposed to another guy, hey, you can give him a little bit of stick. You can be a little bit more tougher on him because he can handle, and that's what you find that brings the best out of a player. So as a coach, you need to understand each player, not only on the field but off the field. So it's very, very important to know who you're coaching, what age group, get to know the players, and that's why it's so important nowadays to do team events. So you're seeing even at a youth level, they're going to rock climbing, or they're doing problem solving at different area. Like there's different things out there,
like Exit Canada.
Exactly. That's things like that, because you're getting to know your player outside of soccer, because at the end of the day, you don't know what the reason is for playing. Every kid is different. Some kids play to become, you'll have a few kids on your team that play to become professional. You have a few kids on your team play to get out of the house. You have some kids that play to have fun. So it's your job as a coach to identify what each kid's goals are. And at the end of the day, what I like to tell the kids, even now to my friends, is the main, and even this is what I tell myself, is the main reason you play the sport is to have fun. And the moment you stop having fun is the moment you know that it's time to either stop, or you got to find out why you're not having fun. Because sports doesn't matter professional or not, you play to have fun. And you're just lucky enough that if you're really good at it, you get paid to do it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the reason why we play sports is to have fun. We get our physical activity out of it. But that's what I teach these kids is at the end of the day, every session, every team talk, doesn't matter, I'm doing my men's team, is let's just go out there, have fun.
It's important because, like, for example, I'm sure you coached all different levels, all different ages, right?
Yeah.
So like you mentioned, maybe coaching a HPL team or a Metro team is like, you could be harder on them because like you said, most of their goal is maybe to go play college at the minimum.
Yeah.
Or even just like, they're good enough, so you want to push them. But then you're coaching, let's say in the next hour, you're coaching a Div 4 team.
Yeah.
You're trying, like, they're not there to like make. They're not trying to make it for, unless you notice someone that could move up a level, then you'll encourage them to move up to Div 3, Div 2, for example. Like Div 4, it's like, what could I do? Like Derek said it perfectly. What could I do to make you to come back and not hate it, right? Because like you mentioned, when I was coaching his team, as you go age by age, like with the Punjabi tournaments, for example, that happen here, as the age goes up, the teams go down. Like it's like 3-4 teams or like 5 teams in Surrey, and that's it. Like the league is different from when you're U13, right? So it's like at Div 4, it's like, listen, just come by, let's have fun.
Yeah.
And then you don't want to be hard on them. It's like, okay, well, why am I here? I'm trying to have fun. Why is my coach yelling at me? Yeah, everybody has a competitive nature. You still want to win, but like you said, you have to adapt to their style.
No, absolutely. And I think that's where, as a coach, you need to understand what your goals are your players. And that's through the coaching courses, you learn a lot. So we're finding that more coaches are understanding the purpose of whatever age group, whatever division that they're coaching, the purpose of it. And through the coaching courses, again, you learn lots. So even me, whenever I go to a coaching course or a refresher, I try to, or not even try, you learn 1 or 2 new things every time. So it's important for these coaches to go to those courses, and you'll learn lots of how to adapt and how to manage the team or the player that you guys are coaching. But like I said, like you said, you need to be able to make it fun. You want those kids or players, whoever it is, to come back. You don't want to, I have soccer today or I have hockey today. You want them to be excited. Doesn't matter how old you are, you want to be excited. And to this day right now, I'm excited to go to soccer. Like, I look forward to going to practice. I look forward to going to a game. I'm waiting for the whole week of doing that. But I know one day that fire is not going to be there. And that's going to be the day that either I stop playing or I stop coaching. But right now I still have that fire. And as a coach, it's important for you to have that same fire. You shouldn't be, I have to go coach these kids. You should still have that fire or that desire. Because if you're having fun and you're enjoying it, then you can make it more fun for your kids or for your players.
Yeah.
Before we get to a fun topic regarding coaching, how important is it also, like, now let's just say this is the high level, like I know you've coached Metro, maybe HPL and stuff, like you have players that train with your team, they have a personal trainer, they train with the Whitecaps but want to train with you on the side. How important is it not to like interfere with other coaching methods? It's not like, hey, that coach you go to or that trainer, he's talking bullshit, don't listen to him, listen to me, right? But you also got how important is it to also say, hey, I know that's what he said, but in this situation, do it like this. But in a way, you're not collaborating with another coach, but like from long distance collaboration, because you can't tell. For example, Jeevan, he has his Whitecaps coaches, he has his Canada coaches, he has maybe his local trainer, his growing up coaches. It's like, you don't want him to, like, you don't want a player to have like a mumble jumble in his type of in his head too. It's like, forget what he said, this is what you should do. Then he goes there, he's like, no, forget he said, this is how you should do it as well. How do you deal with that type of situation?
I always keep an open mind. My way is the right way or my way or the highway. I'm a type of guy that I always like to look at other perspectives, whether it be a coach, personal trainer. I never say, it has to be like this. There's always ways to make, not even a compromise, make both sides work. So that's the way I've learned. I'm not always right. I'm going to make mistakes. That's what I tell my players, that I might make a mistake today. I probably am going to make a mistake. So if I'm comfortable with that, then I'm always open to seeing what other options are, what other coaches are saying. If I'm right, I'll obviously say, hey, this is our game plan today. I might be totally off, but this is how I think we're going to win or have the most chances of winning. But with your question, I'm never, it's just my way. I
Yeah.
keep it open mind. I try to think on with different hats, see why that coach is saying that. And then it might be, hey, you know what? Actually, that's probably better than my idea. So I always keep an open mind when I see other advice from players or other people or coaches.
It's not even coaches. Like you could learn from the player itself.
100%.
They could just figure out something on their own. Like whatever works for you.
It's always situational, right?
Yeah.
It's never like, all right, this is the game plan, but like you don't know what's gonna happen with the other team. An injury could happen, or they might change a game plan. You have to adapt on the fly as well.
I think it gets very difficult when parents get involved.
Yeah,
and that's
that's where
that's where we're trying to teach now that let us coaches coach the kids, because especially at a young age, the kid gets very confused. Like if you have their dad saying one thing and then the coach saying another thing and then their mom saying another thing and the player saying another thing. So if a parent has an opinion, this is what I've learned from my coaches in the past is have the parent talk to me personally, but not after a game. Wait 24 to 48 hours, because after a game or a practice, sometimes tensions are high. You want to make sure that you both are on a calm mind, and then you can discuss whatever coaching point that they had or what point of view they had. So if you do that, I think it works out. But you want to make sure that the parents are there to cheer on, be positive with the kids, and let the coaches coach. And usually then there's no conflict.
Yeah, because I was gonna lead into that as my funny topic. So how annoying is it when you're coaching in the line? Yeah. It's like, man, that dad or that mom or that uncle, whoever, needs to shut up right now, because like I've been so lucky when I've coached his teams. I've never had his parents say that. Like sideline coaching at the most is like encourage, like, hey, go do this, just watch out behind you. Like I'm fine with that, but it's not like I've noticed like sometimes I'm on the field and I'm just like hearing parents on the sideline, Adarkar, go here. What are you doing? There's a guy there. How'd you mess that up? Like that type. Like, have you have any funny stories regarding that? Like, is that the most annoying thing as a coach as well?
So what I like to do, I don't have any funny stories about that, but what I like to do is we do like a team meeting where parents and players are there, and we make sure we set the standard that the parents' job is to be cheerful, be enthusiastic, be positive. And let the coaches, like I said, coach. We let them know that the parents need to be on the opposite side of the bench, because sometimes you have parents talking to the player when they're on the bench,
or you,
or myself. So I've been very, very good with that. With that, because the players are also at the meeting. If a parent does say something, the player then reminds the parent, hey, mom and dad, like, remember that meeting that we had? Like, you need to make sure that you just don't coach me. It's more you being positive or being cheering us on, as opposed to coaching me. So if you have that meeting to begin with, or you might have to have a meeting again, right? If you do find that parents are doing that, then just have a meeting. And I've been pretty good with that. As long as you have meetings, be upfront with your parents and with your players, then it should be easier.
How does a parent come out to you every game like, why is my kid not playing? Or like, why is he only playing 5 minutes? Or why is that kid playing over my kid? Like stuff like that you might hear. Have you heard of this story?
You do hear that, right? At every, as a coach, right? But again, with what I like to tell parents is, number one is your kid is playing 100% in every single training session. So if you want to see your kid play, right, he will be training or playing 100% in at practice. But as a coach, you need to make sure, especially at the youth level, the grassroots level, that there is some sort of even playing time. Yeah. Obviously, the higher you go, the more demand it is for winning. And this is what you learn through your coaching courses. But I know at the HPL level, I think the standard, I don't know if this still is each kid has to play a minimum of 50% of games throughout the whole year. So it could be one game he plays 0 minutes, but game number 2 he plays 45, game number 9 he plays 90 minutes, but throughout the whole season, the total amount of minutes, it should equal 50%. So as long as you have those guidelines, those standards from the beginning, and you can remind the parents that, hey, actually this is how much he's been playing, it's what is expected, then it's usually okay. But you'll always have a parent complaining about playing time and whatnot. But as long as you talk to them 48 hours after a game when tensions are a little bit less high, I find that it's a lot easier to have that conversation as opposed to after a game, your tensions are high, the players' tensions are high, the parents' tensions are high. There could be conflict. So I think by doing that, it decreases your chances of any conflict or having just more of a normal conversation.
Any funny stories with dealing with an annoying player, if you have any?
Dealing with an annoying player.
Whether it be for that situation or it could be just a different situation.
I don't know if it's an annoying player, but you see players like I've had a player that he wasn't playing, and it was at a U18 level. He was on the bench, and he just walked off. So he's like, you know what? He just packed up his bags and he just left. And it wasn't funny, right? Our team, we were losing at the time, and he thought that he deserved to play and start, and he just packed his bags and left. But we had a conversation after the next day at training, and I explained to him, hey, this is not right. He apologized to the team. We had a conversation like, the team is always first. It's not all about you. But yeah, as long as you have these team meetings, you can minimize. Like I said, you can minimize.
I guess every coach is different, right?
Yeah,
you
like
I'm
more.
Calm,
I try to be right, but you do. Yeah, it's you gotta approach it differently, and I've learned that through experience. I wasn't always like that, but I've been lucky enough to have very good coaches growing up. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Because I wanted your views as a coach, because I know that's what your main standard at right now. I know you play, but coaching, I know you're very passionate about it. But moving on to a physio. Ultimately, why did you want to become a physio? Is it just your way to stay closer to sports?
That's the main reason. Usually, you see people become physios because they've had a significant injury. They spend a lot of time in the physio room. I've been lucky enough, knock on wood, that I haven't had any major injuries as of yet. But I knew that one day I won't be able to play sports, and I wanted to find a way that I can still be involved in sports. And again, I was good at school, but I didn't enjoy school. But I knew that if I become like a physio or in the medical field, I'll still be involved in sport in some way, which I've been lucky enough. And right now I see athletes from average Joe athlete to professional athletes. So I'm still involved in the sport, but it's more rewarding on a different point of view, that you've helped them reach their goals. And that's exactly why I wanted to start being a physio, is to be involved in the sport and find it rewarding at the same time, which I do. And
then learn maybe not just soccer, maybe other sports.
Exactly. Like I grown up, I'm athletic. I know how to play every sport. I play basketball. I can play basketball. I can play volleyball. I can play badminton, tennis. So I do know, I'm a big sports guy, so I know how each sport is. So when an athlete or person comes in, I understand the injury because I understand the sport. Is
the dream to maybe work on a team one day? I know you probably enjoy working for Sungod. I'm not saying that, but like, you have the experience of New Zealand, which we'll get into in a second. With the women's team there. But in general, do you, like, if the Canucks come calling, I know that's probably your dream, but like maybe another NHL team or a local League One or team or whatever come calling, do you want to be part of the team environment more? Obviously it's situational, but like at the moment, do you feel like you want to be part of a team physio, or are you still, or do you want to just stay in this clinic?
It's good. It's a good question. So originally, when I wanted to become a physio, it was to do with sport, but when I was on my placement in England, when I was with Oxford United, and it was totally different. I wasn't used to being a physio side, because you see all these players, they're playing and you're on the sideline, and when there's no injury, or even when there is an injury, you're on a different point of view. So I thought I'd really enjoy it, but it's totally different because you're not in control. I'm so used to being in control as a coach, as a player. So for example, the team lost on a Saturday, and so then the coach comes in, he's upset. So we have training tomorrow. It's a Sunday. And as a student at the time, I had Sunday off. So if the players are in, I got to be in too. So I had no control over that. You're having to do tasks or jobs that I'm not used to. I'm not saying like I don't have to do this, but like you're cleaning up, you're like setting up, you're picking up water bottles, you're doing jobs that I was not used to.
You're not signed up for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm there. Like as a coach, you're always in charge. As a player, you do what you want, right? As a physio, there, it was difficult to be on the other end of things. So then, when I started doing private practice, I really enjoyed it. Like you see different people. You see a 90-year-old patient for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, and the next thing you see a 45-year-old worker working a 9 to 5, and then you see a professional athlete. So you're seeing everything. So then I started really enjoying that, and I loved it. But then we'll go into the New Zealand job.
So how did that go? Before you go into that, so this is what let's just get into how did you get the New Zealand opportunity, and then explain, I guess now
how I
maybe
feel about sports.
Yeah.
So with the New Zealand job, what happened was I had just started working at Sungod, and I loved it. Like I said, I was working different patients every day. It's close to my house. It's very enjoyable. I see a lot of variety of patients. And then what happened was it was during COVID, and my sister had just got a job with the Canada national team, and it just so happened that New Zealand was traveling to Canada after Canada had won their gold medal for a exhibition series in Montreal and Ottawa. So, but because of COVID, the New Zealand staff weren't able to travel to Canada because they had restrictions.
Yeah.
So what happened was it was Canada's responsibility to help find staffing for New Zealand, so that way they can still come on tour, and that way Canada and New Zealand will still be able to have a game. So then my sister was reaching out to, they needed a sports scientist, they needed an assistant coach, they needed everything. They had no staff. Yeah. They only had a head coach, and even certain players weren't allowed. If you played in New Zealand had a traveling ban. You couldn't travel outside or into New Zealand at the time. Exactly, very strict. So then my sister reached out, hey, we need a physio. And originally I said, no, like, sorry, like, because of my experience before working with a professional environment, and how much I was enjoying working in private practice, I said no, like I'm okay, like try finding. I gave her other options. I set out other names. I said go reach out to these people, they might be interested. And she's like, okay, I'll try them. So then she tried to reach out to them. They weren't available, and now it's less than 2 weeks before New Zealand was going to come. They can't cancel it because they don't have a medical staff. They don't have an assistant coach or whatever. And so then she's like, hey, like, can you just do it? And I was like, okay, well, if you're stuck, I'm not gonna leave them hung to dry either. Yeah. So I said, okay, sure, I'll do it. So I packed my bags. I told my boss at work that this is the situation. He was very good. He gave me the blessing. He was very supportive. I mind you, it had just been like less than 2 months I had started work there, and for the boss to give you 2 weeks, it's not just 1 week, give you 2 weeks off. I was very lucky. So he gave me his blessing. He said it was a great opportunity. And then, so I traveled there with the team. So they paid for my flight. Then you're staying in a hotel. Then I'm meeting all the players. And we played again. So my sister was on the other side. I was on the other side.
We'll get into that in a second. But yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. It was totally different. And the way that they treated me was just amazing. And I was like, I fell in love again with professional sport, being a physio. But I said my goodbyes. I said bye, and I thought I wouldn't hear back from them. And then I was lucky enough, the team and the coaching staff at New Zealand, even when their traveling ban was off and they were able to travel, they loved me so much that I got to travel to Korea with them. I traveled to Japan. I traveled to the States, to LA, to Dallas. So I was very lucky that they invited me for, I think, 3 or 4 more tours after that. And I really enjoyed it. And I still to this day, like, I'm still in touch with their staff, with some of their players. and I'm hoping to hopefully go to a couple more tours. But that made me fall in love again with the professional side of physio as well.
So right now New Zealand's like your number one option, but if Canada comes calling,
I enjoy. At the end of the day, my goal is not to work with the White Caps or work with the Canucks. I enjoy working with private practice because I find that as a community guy, as a local boy, I can touch more. I guess not. Like I can have more of a impact on a community level. On a community level if I'm just in professional sport.
So you're focused on that more, but if an opportunity comes, then you'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. I enjoy private practice. I enjoy giving back to the community in any way I want. And that's why I coach, is to give back to the community. And that's why I enjoy working in private practice, because I see different people throughout the community.
Okay, so you alluded to it, Jasmine.
You
got to go against her. What was that like? Did it feel weird? Like, okay, you're Canadian, so in a way you're like, I want Canada to win. My sister on the other side, but now you're stuck. You're on the New Zealand side. So first off, what was you being at the field like? It's like, do I cheer if Canada score or not? Because I'm Canadian at the end of the day. Or were you like strictly New Zealand? You got this, and that's it.
No. When you're there, when you're with the team for 24 hours a day, like that's your team. Like, and as an athlete, I'm competitive. Doesn't matter whatever team I'm on, I want to win. Right. Whether it was being a physio, whether it's being a coach, whether it's being a fan, like you want to win. And even though I was up against my own country, right?
And your sister.
My sister, right? But it was literally, I wanted us to win. So we lost the first game, and then we ended up, I think, losing the second game. Losing a second game or tying. I can't even remember. It's been a long time, but we didn't win. But no, it was very enjoyable to see her. I hadn't seen her too often, but she's always been traveling. And no, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience to see. I think we're the first ever brother sister on a national stage to be she would be on the coaching side, I was on the medical side, to be against each other. So it was enjoyable. It was great to see.
Did she have bragging rights on you?
She does have bragging rights.
Is this like does this include like all the other times you guys might be competitive? Is this just like she has that one up now?
She does have the one up in that. She has a one up in a lot of things, to be honest, right? But she's learned everything she's learned. Is from me.
So you take all the credit.
I do take some of the credit. Some is from obviously my family, my mom and dad, my other sister as well. But no, it was a great opportunity. I loved it. And I'm happy for that opportunity.
Dream person you would love to treat in like a private practice, like
Cristiano.
Oh,
Cristiano. That's he's my idol. I grew up. I'll never forget. I watched him one of his first ever games against Leeds. I watched him on TV, and this was when he was 18, 19 years old. I was like, wow, this guy's amazing, and I've been a fan ever since. Even to this day, the way he not even rehabs, he maintains his body, and keeping that physique, keep playing at that level every year at that age is just amazing. So him, obviously Messi as well.
Okay, so are you a Messi hater?
No. Like so I am the biggest, like I said, Ronaldo is my favorite of all time, but recently, after what Messi has done, not only at the World Cup, at the MLS level, I hate to say this, Messi is the GOAT. Messi is the GOAT. I am a Ronaldo fan. I love Ronaldo.
For sure.
I think they're both great athletes. They're both great soccer players. But more recently, I would give Messi the edge.
That was me for like, I believe Messi's the GOAT. I love Ronaldo. The reason why I'm a Man United fan is because of Ronaldo, right? But I also enjoy Barcelona because of Messi. But that point you made is on basketball for me. I'm a big Kobe fan. Diehard Kobe fan. Reason why I'm a Laker fan. After that 3-1 comeback by LeBron is where like, okay, I have to stop arguing against LeBron. Even though like I wasn't like a hater, but it was more so like I think Kobe was the better guy. But then the Kobe, like the LeBron Jordan convo, that's a whole different thing for me. Like I can't talk, because I hate talking GOAT when I'm not in that era.
Yeah.
Whereas Messi, Ronaldo, I can talk about
Yeah.
it, right? So that's a different debate. But between Kobe and LeBron, I'm like, okay, now I have to put LeBron ahead of Kobe in my all time. But so he, in my my era, ever since I've been watching sports, LeBron is the GOAT in that sense. I'm not saying he's the GOAT, because I'm not gonna try to rile up the internet.
Yeah.
But and Kobe's second, but Kobe's my like you said, my favorite player.
Yeah, it's hard to admit it. I still try to trash on LeBron.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want LeBron to win another championship to tie Kobe.
And I'm stuck because I'm a Laker fan because of that.
Yeah.
But any professional athlete that you have treated, like, is there any big name that you have treated already, or is it more of like the local athletes and stuff like that?
At our clinic, I haven't treated him, but we've had Evander Kane, Milan Lucic come to our clinic in North Delta. We've had a few MLB players that are local players. I think probably the most famous I have is probably someone on New Zealand national team. There are girls on that team that play right now for Inter Milan. There's girls that play for Glasgow Rangers, Celtic, Los Angeles. So I think they would be probably the most famous athletes, I think. I can't think of any. Oxford United. I had players there that were on Manchester United, Everton, Chelsea. So you had athletes or professional players from those teams. Yeah.
All right. Last thing before we get into like the sports talk, like I know you want to talk about some Canucks, some soccer.
Yeah.
It's about Jasmine, like we were looking at earlier. Again, how much do you look as an older brother?
Yeah.
At one point, did you realize, like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm going to be known as Jasmine's older brother, as I joked earlier.
Yeah.
But what she has done for the community, for the females especially, Punjabi females to be exact.
Yeah.
I guess this is your way to share, any fun stories you have with her, and how much you look up to her now as an older brother, and how great she is for the community.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No. Where I'm such a proud older brother of everything she's done. Not only what she's done in the soccer, but still, like, going back to the education, getting into UBC in Physio, which is very, very difficult to do while still playing and coaching. So I'm very proud. She's followed my footsteps, but taken it to a different level.
Yeah.
And I do have another sister, Simran, as well.
Yeah.
And she's done the same thing on a business point of view. So she's at UBC Business, running the alumni events programs there. So she does major events. So no, I'm very proud of both my sisters.
Are you the oldest?
I am the oldest,
Okay.
right? So both have learned, I'd hope to say. I know definitely they have learned lots from me. And I still learn lots from Jasmine, whether it be everyday life, like even from my other sister Simran. We like to share how our day went, or a prime example, I had a athlete come in, he re-injured himself, and I just started talking about that. But no, I'm proud of both my sisters, not only Jasmine.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you had a second sister.
Yeah.
Till I think I saw either your Instagram or Jasmine's Instagram.
Yeah.
As well. So Simran, right?
Yeah.
I apologize. I don't mean to neglect you.
No, she's not involved in sports too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm proud of her as well. But no, both sisters, especially Jasmine, has given our Mander name for a lot of good things, especially in our community. So it's good to see, and the future is bright for her, and we'll see what she has.
Sibling rivalry will always be there still.
It's always there.
Yeah.
You can't stop.
Always there. Ever since a young age. Like I think we have pictures growing up that we would play like 1-on-1, and she was a rough and tough player. We both play center mid. I was more the pretty boy, center mid, the playmaker, right? And she was more like the Gattuso, the Roy Keane, like, and she would do that on me. She was never afraid to tackle me down. So every time we do 1-on-1, there's photos that my mom and dad have of me on the ground and her with the ball when she was like 3 years younger, 3 years younger than me, right? So no, she always has that fire, and Yeah, no, there'll always be a rivalry. It doesn't matter what we do. There's always
everything
a
will be
rivalry.
competitive.
Everything
like running down.
100%. I'm just a competitive guy. Doesn't matter with
for
her,
sure.
with anyone.
All right, let's get into the fun sports topic. Here.
Yeah.
You want to start off with the Canucks, or you want to?
Yes.
How excited are you with the season coming up? Do you have faith with the moves they made, etc.? And have you paid attention to the preseason?
Yeah, no, I've been paying attention to the preseason. I think they made some good positive moves, especially Quinn Hughes as captain, seeing a young captain. He's good on the puck. He can play defensively and obviously his offensive traits. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they have in store this year. They had added some good defensemen. No, I'm definitely excited.
Yeah. I mean, I don't pay attention much to the preseason.
Yeah.
But every time I'm excited, like last year I was excited, and look what happened.
Yeah.
But this year I feel like they're more planned and well planned there.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. Like, I'm not a big preseason guy. Like, I don't care that they lost 10-0. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just like, okay, it's fast approaching. Let's see, because it is a lot is riding on it.
Like, I do believe they're a better team than last year, and I feel like they should start off better than they have in like the last 2 years. And I just believe that, like, you know, if Patterson, Demko, and Hughes just get it going together,
100%.
they could compete with any team in the NHL.
Does
I
Speedy
agree.
come back?
That's tough. I think because Quinn Hughes got the captaincy, despite what PD says or anyone says, I think deep down, I think every player wants to be captain.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're a third liner or fourth liner, it's an honor to be a captain.
Yeah.
I think to be such a superstar like him, I definitely think he wanted to be captain.
He
So
did
the
say.
fact,
He did say. I think last year when Bo Horvat did get traded and they were named the A's.
yeah,
He did say I'm not really a vocal guy. So
Yeah.
again, this is on public knowledge, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you mentioned,
yeah.
it could be behind the scenes. Who knows?
yeah,
But like he may not be. He said it himself that he may not want to be a captain material or
Yeah.
wanted to be captain. But
every player you
Yeah.
drive to be the captain,
because like
especially.
for us, like Quinn Hughes is like makes sense because he is the vocal guy, more vocal.
Yeah.
In the play.
But at the same time, with all the Swedish captains that the Canucks have had, I think deep down he probably would wanted to. It would be an honor for him, I should say, to be captain. But we'll see. I would love to have him. He's such a good player, and especially the season that he had last year, a bounce back season from the year before. I think he's gonna have a good season this year.
Fans are definitely waiting to see what happens.
Yeah,
because
so hopefully, I would love to see him being a Canuck for many years to come.
Let's be honest, we're cooked without him.
Yeah,
We're cooked without him.
We need him.
we were
Like,
cooked with him last year because
we were cooked with him.
yeah, no, 100%, especially with no Bull Horvat this year, and
secondary scoring.
Yeah.
Secondary
and-
scoring is the biggest question mark, but
And
but
the
we need him to produce again.
I do believe we're not going to be historically bad defensively or on the PK as well. So I think Hockey will, you know, nail these guys down, like, you know, play good.
Yeah.
But the scoring, I feel like they're going to be like more, the wins are going to be like 2-1, 1-0 type wins.
I think they'll have good fitness. I think you'll see a more full games. Like last year, we saw them giving up a lot of leads.
Yeah.
A lot of like two goal leads, even 3 goal leads,
Yeah.
4 goal leads, right? I think this year they had to what I understand is they had a very good preseason. They started it early, so in terms of their conditioning, which I think will play a factor in decreasing their likelihood of giving up a 3
The question
goal or
is the
2 goal lead.
mental aspect. Like that's what the key is.
So do you think the Canucks will make the playoffs?
They're making the playoffs. Canucks making the playoffs this year.
All right. And just as a normal NHL, what do you think? Just a prediction for a Stanley Cup final.
Stanley Cup final winner this year will be the New Jersey Devils.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay. Our videos, this video should be already out by the time we put our predictions out. So we'll just that's what we have to.
Yeah.
We have the
and
Devils, and at least I have, as of right now,
Yeah.
I have the Canucks making a wild card spot.
Yeah. Me too.
Maybe they'll battle for the third.
Yeah.
I think Vegas, Edmonton by far.
Yeah, I think out of the East is so strong. I think you have.
I think Jersey's a stacked
You have
one.
Jersey. You have Carolina are
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
good
Those are
two
in the
teams that we
East.
have, yep.
You have the Rangers are still going to be good because their goaltending is very, very strong.
Yes.
I think you have. There's one more team and Toronto. Toronto is very strong this year. If they make it out of the first round, they're gonna make a big
We
playoff
said that
run.
last year and they didn't do it.
With their additions this year, they've
Yeah.
added Tyler Bertuzzi, they've added Max Domi, they've added Ryan Reeves, they've had John Klimberg at the point, so they have good defense and good offense. Again, their only downside could be Samsonov and net. You don't know how their goaltending is going to be, but don't write them out this year because they have grit, which they haven't had in the last few years. So if the Devils and Toronto meet and Toronto gets out of the first round, I would not be surprised if Toronto goes very, very far.
I gotta believe it till I see it.
That's true too. That's the only thing with Toronto. That's why I didn't say Toronto are gonna win it. But don't say you didn't hear it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who do you have the Devils beating in the final?
The Devils beating in the final. I think Edmonton's gonna make a big run this year.
So you're like that Vancouver guy that everyone's gonna hate. He's like,
Yeah.
why is this guy picking the Canadian
Yeah.
teams? That's
I
not
think-
Vancouver.
It's
Yeah.
honestly between Vegas, Edmonton, Avalanche, and Dallas. I'll say
Yeah.
those are my 4 best in the West.
Yeah. Again, with Edmonton as well, they don't have very strong goaltending. But with McDavid,
You have the
and
best one in the
Draisaitl,
world.
with
Yeah.
Evander Kane, with Hyman, with Nuge, like they're attacking, like their forward 6, top 6 forwards are very, very good.
They're solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we mentioned mental fragility. Let's talk United now.
Jeez, okay. Jeez, okay.
Big result today. So when we're recording this is when they came back
Against
And
Brentford, yeah.
Scotland, McTominay
Scotland,
popped
Yes, yes.
We're like,
yes.
it's 1-0, Amr's coming.
Yeah.
I know he's a United fan. We're probably going to have a depressing talk.
Listen,
about
I'm just
United.
happy we have a United fan to talk to.
Yeah.
Because like me and him are the only ones, and he's the one that usually talks the shit in the group chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Overall thoughts. Like, what did you expect? What happened with Onana? Like, we up in a way we should have upgraded from goalie.
Yeah,
but
I think it's early for him, especially as adapting to the Premier League. Like as you saw, a lot of big stars when they come to the Premier League, it's very difficult. Other than if your name's Erling Haaland, it's been very difficult to adapt to the
like De Gea when he
Premier
first
League.
came from Atletico was
Exactly
the same thing.
same thing, right?
Yeah.
So we can't give him too much stick. He's very good on the ball. Don't get him wrong. Yeah, sometimes it gets him in trouble. I know they're looking for a new goalkeeper already. I wouldn't panic yet. Even though we're United fans, and I think
The injuries are the key.
The injuries with the Sancho situation. I think we do need a few more players. We need a striker. I think we definitely need another striker.
Hoyland is fine, but
Yeah,
like
he's still young.
I need a center back. That's
yeah,
me.
that
I
is
don't know
true.
why we didn't
A
go after
backup
Ken.
center back, yeah.
Yeah, because we have some injuries, right? Like Varane has just come off from a long-term injury, and Martinez is injured, and you got Maguire not playing minutes too often either. So we do have some players that are missing. I think our center of the park, we're very good. We have lots of talent in the center of the park.
We added Amrabat, yeah.
Yes.
You're not on the team Ten Hag gets sacked, right?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not a 10 Hag sign. Not yet, right? I believe in him.
We can't do the whole every 2 years go fire.
I agree.
Yeah,
right? Like,
right.
listen, Klopp first came to Liverpool. He went backwards for 1 or 2 years, and he went to win.
Yeah.
We just happened. Like, I think first of all, the Glazers. Don't get me started with that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's a reason why. I know they're spending money, but the problem is they're spending money not on the right guys. Like,
Yeah.
City's spending money, but they're spending it on the right guys.
Because Pep wants those guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, where our managers, like, I think Ole was like, okay, go give me Holland. No.
Yeah.
Ragnick comes in like, yo, Alvarez, this guy's gonna be stud. These other guys gonna be studs. No, they're going to City.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like for me, like that's where I still say we need a fresh start. I'm not sitting here saying Qatar will come in and buy everyone and they'll solve your problems, because we saw that with PSG. It's not how it is. City are doing it, but like look at, and even with PSG, and you look at Chelsea even now, it's like they're doing the firing manager every 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And what's going to be a problem? Like, you want to sack Ten Hag. The difference is the first year the manager always looks good. It happened with Mourinho. It happened with Ole. It happened now with Rangnick. With the Ten Hag.
Yeah.
But it's like the second year comes, the ownership stops supporting, because like all the signing, like there was no reason for Amrabat to be a deadline day loan signing.
Yeah.
There's no reason for we had to bring in Weghorst. Like we
Yeah.
could have gotten Gakpo for 40 mil, right?
For me-
that's the stuff that annoys me.
For me, we got to do what Arsenal did with Arteta, right? Because there's so many times where like Arteta could have been fired, but then he
They
stuck
believed
with
him.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
they stuck with it,
100%.
and now they have a good young core that could be fighting for the next 2 to 3 years
I
at
think-
least, maybe even 5, 6.
I think today's victory, right, especially after they lost the Champions League game, winning in the 90-plus minute, right, last-minute game winner, it's going to bring a lot of boost to not only the fans, the players, but in the changing room. So I think if we go on a little run right now, I would not be surprised if we go on a little streak.
Yeah.
Because that will change the mood, especially after you're losing.
The way we lost.
The way we have been losing.
Yeah.
And like we're playing better, but we're just not getting results.
It's the mental fragility. The minute we let one go. Last thing though, with Ten Hag, and I agree with Joven whenever he says on the podcast, he needs to game plan slightly better during the game. Like his subs are always late. Today was perfect. Like he did all the subs perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, it's like, can we just get healthy and hopefully just get the run going?
100%.
And hopefully he plays the positions at the right place. Because I don't think Anthony should be starting, but we all know he has a favorite.
Yeah.
And he will be starting.
And when in doubt, just put McTominay striker, right?
Yeah.
that's how you do.
You watch on a consistent basis still? Or like do you get up at 7 a.m.?
No, not as much as I used to, especially in England. In England, I was just religiously Man United every game. Like everyone, doesn't matter what city you're in, you have United fans everywhere in England. And you'd go to a local pub or even at home you'd watch. So I was able to watch quite frequently while in England, and I loved
Plus it's
it.
during the daytime.
And it's during the daytime. Here, sometimes games are at 4 a.m., 7 a.m. And one of the things I don't like is how difficult it is to watch games here. We don't have the access how we used to, which I think Canada needs to change that if you want to promote sport.
The MLS one is annoying.
Exactly. Now they've changed it to MLS. It needs to have
TV.
Apple TV. Like if you want the kids to be able to watch sports, it has to have access to
It's
it.
so
right?
stupid because like it's like, oh, MLS soccer is on. Like, you know what? Whitecaps are doing good. Let me tune in. Now, thankfully, we got to watch the Wednesday game a little bit, but it's like the game was, I think, one time I'm like, why is it Austin versus St. Louis on?
Yeah.
Like when we have Whitecaps literally playing at the exact same time.
time. So like you need to have the channels playing these games.
Yeah.
Right? Like especially for kids, like you want them to watch games, you want them to get involved in sport.
Yeah.
Look at hockey. You have hockey on Sportsnet, you have hockey on TSN, CBC, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have soccer have that exposure like it used to back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Get TSN back with getting Champions League games or putting the Whitecaps back on or
Yeah.
putting Man United, right?
Yeah.
Like you need our local channels to start putting soccer on.
Yeah.
So that way we can get not only our like fans like us to watch it, but kids to watch the sport.
Yeah.
It's always a money thing though, at the end of the day.
It's a money thing, yeah.
VAR. You saw the latest VAR situation.
man.
What are your thoughts? How brutal is it? It should be a replay, right? Like as much as we hate Liverpool as United fans, and yeah, frankly, if they happened to Man United, no one would have cared. Like the haters would have.
Yeah.
I'm still integrity of the sport was very much questioned. You heard the audio, right?
Yeah, I've heard the audio. Yeah, VAR is supposed to be there so that we don't make mistakes.
Or
Yeah.
offsides especially.
Yeah, so any mistake. So I'm still a little confused of how at such a high level, such a high game, it's two big teams, how such a big mistake could happen.
And ruined the whole game.
Exactly. So my question is, if that happened this time, who knows how many times it's already happened, right? Like we don't know. And that's what Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher were talking about. If it's already happened, now we know it happened.
That Garnacho won against Arsenal.
Yeah, so who knows how many mistakes there've been. Yes, it makes the game a little bit exciting, but I love soccer naturally without VAR.
Yeah.
Like that's how we don't get the luxury of having VAR in our games, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, if a referee makes a mistake, the referee has made a mistake, right? I think if they made it simple where the goal line technology was there,
That's perfect.
that is perfect, right? Like I think I love the amount of like look at the Maradona's goal, right?
Yeah.
The hand of God, right? That's we remember that forever, right? So it made
But
the
England
sport
fans probably
unique.
hate that.
Yeah.
Exactly,
England
but
fans hate
it's that's what made soccer so entertaining, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have mistakes being made, right? Yeah, that's
The thing is, I understand if you mess up penalties or red cards, right? Because those
Yeah.
are like, everyone has their own opinion on that. But like offside is
offside is black and white.
Yeah, it's
it
black
should be
and
black
white.
and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I
That
don't
one
know
was
how
just
you
straight
messed
up
it up.
communication. I don't know
Yeah.
how they thought it was onside. I think so. They're like, yeah, it's good to go. And
Yeah.
But the fact that they're like the
It
ref.
was so quick.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it
the
was
fact
so
that
quick.
they're like, we can't stop it because the ref continued. I
Yeah.
think that's bullshit because like when we watch hockey and there's a goal, and then like 5 minutes, like 30
go upstairs.
No, like 30 seconds to a minute later, a goal horn sounds.
Yeah.
Like, it's a goal, so go back and redo the clock. It should be the same thing here.
Yeah.
Like I understand it's not the natural way, but it's the integrity of the game at the end of the day, right? Your top 5 all time that you have seen play. So like you can't, like if you haven't seen like Pele play at the prime, you don't
Yeah.
say Pele. But like your top 5 currently /
Soccer players?
Yeah, soccer players.
Soccer players? Neymar Neymar's amazing.
No, but just go in like order.
Okay.
Like,
5. You want to go from 5, or you want to go from number 1?
That's up to you. Because you already know you're 1 and 2. I think that's
Okay,
pretty obvious.
so this is a tough question. I go number 1, Neymar. When I watched him live, he was something special. Like how he glides on the field, he enjoys playing soccer. He's my number 1.
So keep in mind, this is not the GOAT list.
No,
this is his preference.
This is my that I've watched live. I haven't watched Messi and
by live
Ronaldo.
I mean not in person, but like TV.
Oh,
well.
TV.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You go like
Not, I meant to say like your top 5 that you've seen play. Doesn't
like
matter.
your favorite players.
Your favorite, not
that I've
yeah.
seen
Yeah.
play soccer
Yeah.
on TV or anywhere.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that changes it up.
Yeah.
Messi's number 1.
Yeah.
The way he's been playing. Then I go Ronaldo.
Yeah. Okay. See, anyway, like okay, wait.
Yeah,
Out of the
then
3.
Ronaldo. Number 3, I would go Neymar. And I've like I said, seen him live as well. So the way he plays, he glides on the field. So those are my top 3. 4, just a tough question. I'd say Modric, center mid. The way he plays the game, Modric or Toni Kroos. Like the way they play the game is just so simple. I love watching them play, even at this age. And then 5th, that's a great question. Who else would I be? Mbappe.
Okay.
Just how exciting, how fast that guy is it's exciting to watch.
So you definitely went more recent then.
Yeah.
Than the
Those are
older
my
guys.
5.
Okay.
Those are my top 5.
Pace
I would give a special shout out though to Zidane.
Okay.
I named my dog after Zidane, Zizou.
So
I
you're a
loved
Real Madrid
watching
fan,
him.
clearly.
Yeah, I love. But he was very good and entertaining to watch.
So
as
you're
well.
hoping for Mbappe to show up in the next year?
I would love to see Mbappe at Real Madrid.
Him and Jude. No,
Yeah, Jude's been on fire. 10
Yeah.
goals in 10 games. He scored again today.
He should be Ballon d'Or favorite for next year, like this season.
At this rate,
Yeah.
if he keeps this up, definitely.
Very quickly, Haaland or Messi with Ballon d'Or coming up at
Messi.
the end of the month. Messi.
Messi.
You win a World Cup, and what he's doing in MLS, unmatched.
Your goal is to probably go see a Miami game next year.
I want to, but it's so difficult. You don't know. I think he recently got injured. You don't know if he's
because
gonna
like, a lot of
play.
Chicago fans are like,
play.
oh shit.
Yeah, you don't know when or where he's gonna play, and it's just unfortunate that even next year we don't know if he's gonna come to Vancouver or if Vancouver plays Miami because they're in the East. So it'll be interesting. I definitely want to see Messi play. It'll be a little bit more difficult to see Ronaldo play, but again, the Euros are happening, so I want to see before I die Messi and Ronaldo play.
Yeah.
And you're at the last stages.
Yeah, so watching those guys.
All right, last thing before we close it out.
Yep.
You're gonna build your perfect soccer player. I know you've seen the Derek pod.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar vibe. You kind of have a head start.
Okay.
So your things are body/height. That is 1.
Okay.
Athleticism, left foot, right foot. So that's one each.
Okay.
Pace, heading ability. So that could be for goals, clearances, etc.
Okay.
Defending. Again, overall defense.
Yeah.
Playmaking. This includes free kicks and corner kicks. Dribbling.
Jeez, a lot.
Shot and scoring again includes free kicks.
Okay,
and
you're gonna have to
kickers.
repeat all that.
Yeah,
We'll go one by one.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then the brain, the mentality. So we'll
Okay.
start off with body/height. So that the reason why I laid it all out is so that you don't like.
Yeah.
And you can't repeat as well.
Okay,
That's why.
So can't repeat.
So-
Body/height. I would go with Ibrahimovic.
Not Derek's.
Not Derek's. Yeah, body/height. Ibrahimovic. Even at this age, that physique is amazing.
Everyone in the
Right?
prime, by the way.
Yeah.
So, athleticism.
Athleticism. I would go with Ronaldo.
Left foot,
Messi.
right foot.
The right foot of was amazing right foot. I would go Juninho.
Okay.
Yes.
That was a left field, but
Juninho. You watch if people that don't know Juninho, YouTube Juninho. It's either you can go as right. Actually, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna go Juninho on free kicks on a right foot of Steven Gerrard.
Okay, so Steven Gerrard.
Steven
right foot.
Gerrard.
Yeah.
Juninho on free kicks.
So
free
that's
kick
shot, his
specialist.
shot is what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Pace.
Mbappe. Too
Heading
fast.
ability.
Oh, this would be a good Ronaldo one too. In the air, Van Dijk. I think Van Dijk is
Okay.
very.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna go
makes
Swedish,
sense.
man.
No, Van Dijk. Van Dijk's very good in the air.
Defending overall.
Defending.
So that could be aerial, 1-on-1, etc.
Van Dijk's
Positioning.
good in that too. I would go Maldini.
Okay.
Paolo Maldini.
So playmaking.
I would go with playmaking. There's a lot of options. Like I already mentioned, Modric, Cruz. I would go Andre Pirlo.
Pirlo? Okay.
Pirlo, yeah.
The way he glided, he didn't have much pace, but still to be able to do that without the pace, he was just amazing. Ozil, I'll give him a shout out for that too. He's very good.
Dribbling.
Neymar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shot, you said Juninho already. And then the brain, the mental side. Scanning the field and all that stuff.
That's important. As a center mid, I think
Zidane, yeah.
Okay,
Genius.
so your final soccer player is you
Yeah.
got the height/body of Ibrahimovic with Ronaldo's athleticism, which is already scary.
It's already
With
scary,
Messi's
yeah.
left foot
Yeah.
and right foot of Gerrard.
Yeah.
You got Mbappe's pace on that with Vidic's aerial ability.
Van Dijk.
Sorry, Van Dijk's aerial ability. Defending of Maldini.
Yeah.
Playmaking of Pirlo with Neymar's dribble. Shot of Juninho. All with whose brain again? Zidane's brain.
So that's an amazing player.
Yeah, made the best player. Yeah, you guys, whoever's watching this, you guys could comment. Jeevan, did Jeevan make the better player? Did Amar make the better player? Or did Derek make the better player? So check that out. We'll try to clip these and put it out as well, so it's much easier to find. But so that's your perfect soccer player.
That is my favorite soccer
Okay.
player.
Any other sports you want to talk about? Or you get there?
I know a lot about hockey, believe it or not. I'm big,
Yeah, I could tell,
big
yeah.
hockey
Yeah.
fan. Like even after this today, I have my fantasy pool, double champ in the last 3 years. By the way, give that big shout out there. Yeah, so I'm a big hockey guy. I am just a sports fan in general, just like you guys. I love watching sports. I love playing sports. I love being around people that love sports.
We should bring him on back again.
Yeah,
If you want to talk sports, we'll bring you back on.
I just love sports.
Just full analyst summer right now.
Yeah.
All right. So last couple of things before we close it off. Advice for any younger athletes and coaches, and maybe even physios out there that you would like to give.
My biggest advice is get involved in any sport you like. Doesn't have to be soccer. Doesn't have to be hockey. I know we've talked about that a lot in this podcast. There's so many benefits of being involved in sport, like we talked about today. So whether you're a kid, whether you're an adult, it's never too late to get involved in sports. There's so many positive things that you can learn. There's so many positive people you can meet. So if my biggest advice would be is get involved in some sport, whatever you guys enjoy, whether it be weightlifting or whatever sport it is. There's so many positive things that you can get out of sports.
Yeah, gym counts, by the way. Gym counts.
Yes.
Coachings? Any advice for young coaches or aspiring coaches?
My advice for coaches would be get your licenses. Doesn't matter what coaching, what sport you're coaching or what level you're coaching. By continuing your education, you're always going to learn a thing or two. So go back, get your licenses, get your education, and continue doing that, because you'll learn not only from other people, you'll learn from other players, you'll learn from these courses. So get your education, and you'll be surprised what you learn.
All right, that's Words of Wisdom by Amr. And so last thing, just plug your stuff. If people want to reach out to you, where could they find you?
So you can either find me on the soccer field at Newton Park, at Surrey Athletic Park. No, I'm usually at Sungod. So at Physio, like you guys said, at Sungod Physio. I'm there 5 days a week inside the rec center. Otherwise, you'll see me somewhere, like I said, on the soccer field.
Social media wise, I could probably reach you out on Instagram.
Instagram, A_Mander10. That would be probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. But yeah, if you see me at the gym, if you see me at the soccer field, or you see me at Sungod or whatever you guys see me, just say hi. And if you have any advice for me, I'm always willing to listen. But thank you guys for taking your time out. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, but for the viewers is what you guys have been doing, it's very good to see. Not only to get you guys out of your guys' comfort zone, but advocating people not only like myself, but local athletes, local people of our community, our Punjabi community especially. You guys are doing a very good job. So I appreciate it, and I know other people are watching you guys. So it's great to see, and that's why it's an honor for me to be on this podcast. And I hope that you guys continue to see your guys' success, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have in store, because just like myself and everyone else is, you never know what's going to happen with you guys, right?
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot, man.
Yeah.
We'll see. And we were talking about this before, is look what happened to Full Send, and then they started their podcast, and they have big people like Donald Trump and all those guys on it. So who knows what you have in store for you guys, but it's great to see two Punjabi local guys doing this, going out of your guys' comfort zone, pursuing this. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me on the podcast.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Thank you for
appreciate
taking
a lot
your
for
time out of
sure.
your- Yeah.
His Instagram will be down below in the description.
Check out Sungod. You get a free shirt.
That's him for him to decide.
That's what you decide though.
Once again, appreciate you, Amar. Maybe we could do this again in the future if you want to talk some sports. But
Absolutely.
Everybody else from that's watching, we appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.
I'm just very shiny. I hope like you're good at editing.
Huh?
You're not? What do you mean? My skin is like so shiny on here.
If anything, he's gonna put more brightness into
No,
it.
make sure I'm not shiny.
Yeah, I'll try my best, bro. I'm
Yeah,
telling you
yeah.
right now. Don't expect much.